Ramana Maharshi said, reality or self-realization is simply the loss of ego. Destroy the ego by seeking its identity. Because the ego is no entity, it will automatically vanish and reality will shine forth by itself. When you try to trace the ego, you find the ego does not exist at all. What did Ramana Maharshi mean by the ego does not exist at all? And how do we begin to deeply realize that in our own experience? He has a instruction for us in regards to that as well. He says, by constantly keeping one's attention on the source, the ego is dissolved in that source like a salt doll in the sea. Understanding this teaching and instruction made a huge difference in my practice. And I can promise you that once you begin to understand this and put this into your practice, it will completely transform your entire spiritual journey. So that is exactly what we will cover in today's video. First, we will define what the ego actually is, and then we will implement and put into practice Ramana's advice on dissolving the ego, or better yet, realizing its apparent existence or non-existence. In a deeper sense, the ego is simply the idea I, but the idea I is not actually the real I. When we step away from ideas about I, when we start to relax away from all of the mind's images and ideas, and actually bring our attention to our feeling, our sense of self, I, we start to find that I is not individual at all. We start to find that the I has nothing to do with the mind, with the body, or with even the image that the mind holds of I. I is actually all pervasive. It is the self that I am. It is the presence of source within which the entire experience is appearing. That is precisely what self-inquiry is, which is what Ramana Maharshi instructed us to do by keeping our attention on the source. It is learning to hold on to this sense of I, this feeling of I, which appears individual. But as we begin to hold on to it and isolate it away from all images, all concepts, all objects of perception, it begins to reveal itself in its true nature, which is not individual at all. That is what he means by recognizing the ego's non-existence. Here's more on this. So firstly, what exactly is the ego and how is it that it doesn't exist? The ego can be said to be our self-image. Right now, you're not just having this experience, you are having this experience and you are relating to this experience on the basis of an image you have of yourself. So, for example, you don't just feel that you're watching this video, you're having this experience of watching this video, but instead you feel somewhere unconsciously, there's this assumption being made, I, this person that I am watching this video. It's not just this experience. We have this self-image through which we relate to all experiences. But notice that this self-image that you have of yourself is just the person that you think yourself to be. It is what I believe I am. And through that image, through that idea, I constantly relate with all experiences. So it is this image, it is this idea of myself that has become associated with identity. So ego is a conceptual identity, a story about who I am, a thought of an image of my face, of the body's face. It is a thought about the name of the body, what the body has been through. All of that has become associated with our true sense of identity, which is I. Take a look at this visual, which will better explain this. Let's go from the top. The body is an experience which constantly changes. our identity, our sense of what I am, is associated with this body, even though it is a changing experience. Then let's take it a step subtler. Thought and emotion. This is the layer of mind. Constantly also in a flux of change. We know our experience of mind is always a changeful one. Emotions come and go, thoughts come and go. This is changeful. Everybody, to some degree, acknowledges this. But what often goes unnoticed, because it is subtler, it is even an even subtler layer of mind, as you'll see. This is the self-image. So this is like an idea of who you are. It is an image of your self. Notice how usually when we say the word I, automatically we think of our face, right? The current face of the body. But this image, when the body looked different many years ago, this image was also different. Who we believed ourselves to be was also different. This self-image is like a subtler idea of oneself. Of course, the body is there, and that body we currently take ourselves to be. Of course, the thought and emotion are there, and we identify with that. But the even subtler than both is an idea of who I am from where I relate with even thought and emotion, and even the body, and of course, all other experiences of the world. This self image is basically the deepest impression in the mind, which is I am a person, I am a so and so. It is basically one's story that lives on. So if you'll notice that the self image is also actually just made of thought, but it is a subtler thought. It's not necessarily thought that arises on the surface, thought about something, but notice that all thoughts about something are being thought from an image, a point of view, right? When you think about ice cream, you are thinking about ice cream from the point of view of the person you believe yourself to be. This is why Ramana Maharshi taught that the ego doesn't really exist. It only simultaneously arises with the arising of thought. Whenever you think of something else, you also have a sense of self, I, an image associated with it. But this self image is not the real sense of self, which is subtler than even the self image. That's our true identity, which is the feeling of I, which is the feeling of existence, the sense of presence, your beingness. And notice how this is the only thing in your experience that never changes. The body changes, thought and emotion change, and even the subtlest layer of mind, the self image, who you think yourself to be, even this changes. But you always refer to yourself as I. I never changes. Even this experience, you feel I am having that experience because there is this changeless sense of identity at the core of even this experience. However, that changeless sense of identity becomes associated with the self image. It becomes associated with thought and emotion. It becomes associated with body. This is what Ramana meant by saying, by constantly keeping one's attention on the source, the ego is dissolved in that source like a salt doll in the sea. The source is present in our experience here and now as the changeless sense of identity, I. But when this I associates with thought, it becomes personal. It becomes the ego. The ego is not really there. It's not really something that is actually there that needs to be removed. The ego just needs to be seen as association of ourself with thought. And the moment you stop associating with thought, where is the ego? We're going to do a guidance on this in just a moment, but take a moment to reflect on that. In this very moment, when you are just empty of thought, when you are not thinking yourself to be something or someone, as what are you here? The ego is not an actual thing you see, it is just another thought, an image operating in the mind. And it is just our unconscious association of our sense of identity with that image that constitutes its existence. So let's do a quick guided meditation that will walk you through this and will show you how to do this on a daily basis so that you continue to grow in this clarity. Feel free to close your eyes. Please notice that this experience is arising right now. A very simple noticing. I'm having this experience. But as what are you here? As what are you aware of this experience? You may perhaps notice now that the mind it starts talking. Are you the talker? Are you aware of this experience as that talker? Or is that talking, is that mental talking also an experience that you are aware of? What notices the talker? What sees the talking happening, coming and going? You may say, I. And you are right, I. But what is I? Perhaps an image of your face appears in the mind. But is I that image which changes? Or is any image that arises in the mind also an experience that I am aware of? Forget the image. Focus your attention on I. Perhaps your attention goes to the sensations of the body. Are the sensations of the body I? Or are the sensations of the body also an experience I am aware of? Forget about the sensations. Focus on yourself. Or, in other words, relax your attention inwards to this sense of being. Feel your sense of existence. I exist. I am. Keep your attention on this feeling or sense of presence. I am present. This is what Ramana Maharshi meant by keeping your attention on the source. And just by keeping the attention on the source, you are quite literally dissolving the ego into itself. The source is present here as I am. Give up thinking about yourself in order to simply be yourself and know your existence. Don't try to do anything with it. Don't try to get anywhere with it. Just be. And don't associate your sense of existence, your sense of being, your sense I am, with any sensation, with any image, with any thought. You can open your eyes when ready. This, my friend, is the not so secret direct path, not so secret to dissolving the ego, realizing its non existence. When we just keep the mind or keep our attention inward into its source, I am, our true sense of identity, then all ideas about ourselves stop operating. Only when I started to practice this, I started to realize that I was constantly living through an image of myself from where I'm relating with all the experiences, with everything. This image started to become more and more transparent. It's almost like when we practice this, you start to distance this image from your true sense of identity. And although this image continues to play, we have now realized its apparent nature, unreal nature, conceptual nature. Stick to this practice. This is what we call self-inquiry meditation. Holding on to the subject, I. Join our free community. Over there, you can ask questions and get feedback on your self-inquiry practice. We also have a self-inquiry mini course. We do guided meditations. It'd be a great help. So if you're interested in going deeper into this practice, join our group there. It's completely free to join. Follow Ramana's advice. The best thing we can do for ourselves is live by the teachings of the great sages. You know, if you feel great devotion to, let's say, Ramana Maharshi, your greatest devotion to him is by implementing his advice to the best of your ability, not by reading his books only, not by only visiting his ashram. No, our greatest form of gratitude and devotion and service to our teacher and the entire world is practice of the wisdom of these great teachers. So let me know what you think of this. Let me know if you have any questions or you want to share anything about today's video in the comments below. Join our group. I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.